go live, and it says we are streaming. Well, it's still setting up, but technically, usually that means we're already live. It just takes a little while on our end. So, welcome to this week's Thursday's Cosmic Conversation. I am Stacy Harder with my mother, Dr. Heather Harder. This is a place where we get together and chitty chat it up. And because of the amazing times that we are in, we started today with a private conversation on our Zoom. So if you ever want to join in on the private conversation, you can, but you have to be on our Zoom call. And our Zoom, if you'd like to join, is 428-733-218. And that is the same Zoom we use. And if we ever do spirit sprinkles, you do have to be on actual Zoom call to get your sprinkles. Well, I'm proud of you if you are here watching, because that means you are alive. It means you are breathing. And that means that you are living in this amazing world that we are in. I like to keep repeating that, living the dream, because woo, living the dream, right? Lots of stuff happening. So I'm going to go ahead and let my mother take over as I do some of the techie stuff. So welcome. And please remember, you are never alone. We are in this together. And the more we come together, you and I, together, that's unity. And this is what we're all about. Unity, love, joy. All right, Heather.
Thank you, Stacy. Welcome to our evening. For those who are new to our experience, we do this every Thursday, starting at 6 o'clock. Because of the political environment in which we find ourselves, there are things we don't want to make public. We don't want to record them. We don't want to put them out. So we have a private conversation sometimes starting at 6. So if you'd like to be a part of that, you're welcome. If not, however you're joining us today, just continue doing so. The evening has 3 parts. The first part is our calling in, protection, guidance, and truth. The Bible says, ask and ye shall receive. And for me, that's absolutely true. We have to learn to ask for what we want and believe and trust that it's going to come to us. And so how you want to ask for this doesn't make any difference. For me, it's just simply a declaration that I make that I am asking for my divine protection, my divine guidance that keeps me going on a path that serves my greatest good, and asking to know and recognize truth. And not only to recognize and know truth, but know what to do with it. We're living in a time where we're being bombarded with information, some that serves us and some that doesn't, some that's truth and some that's not so much truth. And all of it is given to us with true sincerity and the depths of their soul, that this is what we need to know, and yet they're completely polar opposite information. So it really is important that we intentionally activate our own discernment. Our body is like a great big truth Geiger counter, that it lets us know when we're being given truth. It lets us know when it's not truth. But we have to turn it on. We have to listen to it. We have to be able to discern what it's telling us. And that is through our own action. So protection, guidance, and truth is key to making it through this experience with the least amount of battle scars as possible. That's part 1. Part 2 is our little light work. We're here to use the light, to amplify the light, to send the light out, to allow the light to penetrate us. Light, love, God all carry the same vibration. And the more we intentionally use the light, the more we intentionally become the purveyors of light, then the more we're doing the job that we came to do. When we're told that it is about being and not so much doing. And so when we become one with the light and literally illuminate the world with it, we are doing and being what we came to do and be. We came to be the light bearers on this planet. And the more we play with the light, the more that happens. I've seen a lot of spiritual gatherings where they're very somber and they have these rituals and they have these affirmations and procedures that are very strict, and you're going to do this and you got to hold your hand in a certain way, and if you're not doing it right, then you're going to burn in hell. I don't believe any of that. I think that whenever you come with a true and sincere heart, you are coming in the attitude that will most activate your own divinity. And that's really what we're doing, is awakening the divinity within ourselves and within others. Because if we resonate that divine essence, then we cause everything around us to also resonate with that same energy. So it's really important that we allow that energy to do its work. And so with that, I will guide you through some exercises. Feel free to change, alter them in any way that feels right to you. If I'm saying send the energy left and you want to send it right, go with right. Follow your heart. If you think of other things that I'm not saying, feel free to act on our behalf and send that love and light out. The important thing is to make it unconditional. If I give you $100 to buy a birthday present and I say, here's money for school clothes, it's conditional. I've given you this gift, but you have to only use it this way. Whereas if I give you $100 and say, enjoy, it's unconditional. You have permission to use it any way you want. So when you're sharing light, when you're sharing love, when you're sharing blessings, it is with that freedom of gift, unconditionally, no strings, no attachments, no outcomes are connected to it, that we need to share the divinity of our soul. And so with that, we just play in the love and light, and then people and events and the universe can use this love and light any way that serves the planet. You know, again, our job is to transition a planet from third dimension to fifth dimension, from individuality, oppositional duality, to one of unity and oneness. And so with that, I would like you just to take a deep breath and relax your body. You want to have your body nice and relaxed. Just imagine that you're an ice cube and you're melting, and you're letting go of all kinds of just knots and stress. You've all had a challenging week. It's the energy that's being presented to us. And so it's important to release it. Release the energy of any TV you've watched. Release the energy of anything that you've read that's upset you. Release the energy of being upset. Just go into that wonderful, relaxed, peaceful state of surrender. Now, when we go to center, if we can imagine that as our core place where we're most connected to all that is. We're most connected to the heavenly energies, to all of our help from the universe. So we want to go to that core place, our place of happiness, our center. So go to your center. It's just an imaginary place. Don't look for anything sacred. There are no lightning bolts from heaven. It's just a place in your imagination where you are intending to be connected to all that is. As you get there, imagine that there's a beautiful, beautiful pillar of light coming down from the heavens and into the earth. Just this beautiful pillar of light, and that you step into it in your imagination. Become one with that light. And just feel your body relax, your breathing become more comfortable. And let this light flow to you and through you. We are here to act as the anchor of this heavenly energy to earth. We're here to bring heaven to earth. We do that through the light, through our intentions. And now in this place of union, I want you to imagine sending this light, this incredible, vibrant light out into the atmosphere. Just see this earth being surrounded with this beautiful, I see this golden, but the color isn't important. It's whatever it presents itself to you. Or perhaps you see nothing, and that's okay too. You don't have to see something. You don't have to hear something. You don't have to smell something. You just be in that place of intention, and you are doing all that you can do. As this light moves around the planet, imagine it dissolving every negativity, every essence that does not serve this planet. It just neutralizes. Love overshadows everything. Darkness cannot exist where love and light persist. So just let that love and light prevail. All those in the planet who try to manipulate or impact the atmosphere through their seeding of different things, their manipulating of the weather, whatever it is they're trying to do, just love them and see it become neutralized. Love overcomes everything. Love is the answer. And then when that love completely surrounds this planet, I want you to send this love into the earth, filling every cell in, on, and around this planet with love. All around the planet, there are volcanoes, and tornadoes, and extreme weather occurring. You're just going to love them all. You have lots of people moving into fear for different reasons, economic reasons, medical reasons, manipulation of mind reasons. It doesn't matter why they're getting into it, but just love everyone who's in fear. Love everyone who's in hate or conflict. Just see your love surround and fill everyone who is resisting the love. Send love into the weather patterns. The weather patterns exist to balance out sick places on the earth. The more we love those places, the more we don't have to have the extreme weather. Our job is just to love them. On this planet, there is a thing called the collective consciousness. It is the accumulation of all the consciousness, which is an essence that from every person who's ever been on this planet, ever will be on this planet, or who is on the planet. I see this sort of a mist that permeates all things. This collective consciousness is very important. Every thought, action, and deed that you do is stored in this collection. Just fill it with love. And if you've done something in your lifetime or any lifetime that you're not so proud of, just know that you can switch the energy. You are all powerful. And just see this collective energy that influences everything and that is influenced by everything, becoming a vibration of love. On this planet, we have political leaders who want to influence us to take their side. We have media influencers. We have all the social media influencers. We have all kinds of influencers in business and leaders. Every commercial is an influencer trying to get you to do or be or think or take their magic pill. Love them all. love them all. If they can make you believe that you're not worthy unless you take this pill, or that you're not capable unless you go to this school, or you're not lovable enough unless you wear this certain kind of makeup, they win. But love neutralizes it. The more you can love everyone and everything that is trying to change your mind, change your actions, change your thoughts, the more you can just love them, the more you neutralize their influence, and the more you empower yourself on this planet. You are here to become the master of your fate. If you believe that you have to do, say, be, think, whatever these influencers tell you, then you're not empowered yet. Just keep loving and you'll figure it out. You want to just love them. In this country, as well as all the countries on this planet, there is an ongoing struggle between freedom, sovereignty, choice, free will, and controlled action, limited beliefs. Just love them all. And as you call forth truth, you'll know what the divine right action is for you. And that's the only one you should be concerned about. The more we awaken everyone to the power of their sovereignty of free will, the freer will be this planet. But I can't call someone a name or shame or blame them into taking my desired action. I just have to honor their free will. We want to send love out to everyone who's in lack of limitation, who's in struggle, hardship, who's in a cloud of not understanding. We just love them. And on this planet, there's right now the huge debate on whether to get jabbed or not. So I want to love every person who's chosen to get jabbed. Just see where that point of entry was for that and just love it. See that light energy just going through their bodies, affecting the organs. That light can overcome all darkness. We just want to love them and honor the free will that allowed them to make the decision. And if there was control and manipulation, karma will take care of it. You don't need to. We just want to love our right to make a decision. We just want to love free will. And this planet that gave us the right to free will. We want to honor all of our founding fathers who so valiantly struggled to create a form of government that ensured our free will. We want to love their spirit, their energy, their essence, and inspire them to inspire us to know divine right action in order to guarantee that our children and our children's children will know that same level of free will. Right now, there's great confusion on the planet. Everybody seems to have the answer. We want to take and love all those who are fighting to bring clarity and compassion and choice to this planet. We just want to love them. Love all those on this planet who've chosen not to have the V. Love their immune system. Love their choices. Give us the divine right words to justify, defend our choice of actions against those who believe differently. Just guide our tongues to say the things that bring greater love to this planet, greater compassion, greater free will. We're going to take a moment for each of you to commune with your own immune system. Tap into your DNA. Allow it to speak to you, to tell you what it needs for its perfect health. What can you do to strengthen your own physical well-being? To strengthen your own emotional well-being? To empower your own spiritual well-being? To bring greater clarity of mind and intellectual well-being? This is a wonderful time to be awake on this planet. And each of us has come to do our job. The more we can do with joy and happiness, the better we do it. Ask your divine team to help restore you and your DNA to its original perfection, to neutralize any toxins that you may have put in your body, either knowingly or unknowingly, any chemical residues that no longer serve you. And we ask our body to talk to us, to tell us what we need and how we need it, to be open to every form of wisdom that serves our greatest being. And when we lay down to sleep tonight, we want to be open to hear the messages of our soul. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, we want to trust the knowings. All things are divinely perfect. When you're ready, just take a deep breath. Anchor the energy in every cell of your body and come back to the here and now. Come back to the greatness of who you are. And quietly and gently and joyfully and lovingly, just bring your focus back to the here and now. And know this is the energy of your natural state. the more you can live in that peace and harmony, that calmness, the more you're in touch with the master who you are. Anybody have anything they want to say or ask?
Well, I will say I needed that. I feel very peaceful.
I'm so glad. Me too.
Yeah, that
And
was great.
The energy is always something that reminds us that it's going in and treading gently. We get into such a force field of action, action, action that it's, oh yeah, it's just being gentle with ourselves and gentle with the world and being in that loving, compassionate place. Welcome, Neslie. I see you joined us when my eyes were closed.
Yes. Hello, Miss Nelsie. My favorite part was about remembering that you are, I don't know if the right words, was it creator? What was the word you used? But basically it's like create the life you want to live. And I think all of us are getting opportunities to kind of pause. Is this really what you want to build? Is this really what you want? Because I do love that phrase that things have to fall apart to be able to fall together the way you want to. And as we've been hearing, that everything that we've been known has to collapse so we can actually build it from truth. That nothing that we've been born into this world, I think, has, from our education system, from what we're supposed to be putting in our body, from the air quality, from the water quality, like we've been bombarded in so many ways, and we're all doing our best to think this is the way it's supposed to be. But I love that part. There's something about that line that's like, yes, what do we want to create? Let's start being that. I don't remember what the exact words were, but I loved it.
And that's wonderful when you're in that intentional place of creation. But remember, as these creator gods, every word you think, every thought you carry, every action you take are also creating your life. So it's not just when you're intentionally doing it, but it's 24/7. And until you monitor your thoughts and your actions so that you really know what you're creating, your life probably won't change much.
Yeah. And mood is just as important too. That emotion, it's just as important as the thought.
Well, for me, emotion is like the megaphone. If you say, hello, or, I want this, or I do this, the emotion that you put into those thoughts and actions and attitudes amplify and speed up its ability to create it. So emotions are a real powerful part of the creative force. But when you don't have any control over your emotions, you don't have a lot of control over your what?
My truth is emotions are also a connection to our source. It's like, I believe a way that our higher self or God, whatever you want to say it, source kind of communicates with you. And that when you're in those negative emotions, it's an opportunity to find love that you haven't given to yourself in the past, I would say, is one of the ways to look at it. I had some visuals come to me this week because that's how I usually see things. And it was very powerful as far as like, a lot of us have done the mental clarity of like moving through issues or traumas, but I think our bodies now are storing / coming up as our vibrational shifts. Like our vibrational body is saying, oh, hey, there's still something here and still something. But to me, emotions are that connection to the divine. And when you have those strong pulls of resistance or fighting or hurt or strong emotions too, I think that it can be a powerful lesson. There's a question that just came up, so I'll answer it, or I'll ask it in a second. But I think it's all about saying, you and the universe are saying, hey, we're ready for this lesson. Just intend to say, okay, I move through this with ease and grace. Please show me, please help me, help clear it. And if you put that intention, the universe can help clear it out. The universe can help move through it, but put the intentions to move through with grace and ease. But if you have those, it's like the little warning mechanism that's like, okay, you're ready to work through this now. So feel the fear, feel the pain, feel through it. And what is it teaching you? Because I do believe when you're in that, that's where the true light comes in, just by sitting in it. And that's how it dissolves into light. That's how we move into the other part. All right, question. What emotion is the most effective for intentions?
I don't feel any emotion is most effective for intentions. I think alignment, Stacey and I have very different awarenesses on emotion. So that was Stacey's opinion. Mine is very different. When we are in intention, to me, it's clarity of intent. Go to the center. When you're in center, you're most connected to the divine. And that's when your intentions are even more powerful. And then it's very hard to explain, but if you imagine that you are vibrating at a 3 and this intention that you want is vibrating at 4, you have to get to alignment with that energy of that. Once you get to that alignment of the energy of whatever you're intending, then you bring it down into your reality. And I don't think you have to have emotions. I think emotions are a signal. So
Definitely signals the GPS system. And I think if you're intentionally doing something,
let me explain what I think emotions are. And it's not a GPS system, it is a warning system. We are all familiar with the police car. I bought this on Amazon just so I could use this example. And what happens is we have lights, we have sound, sirens. These are the ways that physical reality has chosen to get us aware. They give us these
sounds off, yeah, because it's not reading well over the computer system.
Okay, well, it's sirens and it's lights flashing. It's what we see when we see danger, and we see these lights flashing and the sounds. And I did consulting for Federal Signal, which literally makes these light bars, and they make the sirens. And there's so much research that goes into designing them. It was just shocking at how much research to find exactly the right sound that pierces your reality or that catches your vision. But the emotions are like those signals. It says, slow down. There's something important here for you to pay attention to. And so the more you do that and you walk, tread lightly through that. If we saw a police car, we would slow down. We would proceed with caution. We may change lanes, but we would get around that. And that's, for me, what emotions are. They're signals that tell you to slow down. What's causing the emotion, positive or negative? Where's your opportunity for growth in this? And then once you get it, you feel it. It's like it clicks into place, and then you can proceed as normal until the next emotion comes up. Intention is putting out there a possible future event or experience that you want, and you have to align with that as you do with anything that you're wanting to create. If I'm wanting a specific house, I'm going to intend that house is being prepared for me. I'm going to be envisioning it. I'm going to be tapping into its energy and vibrating along with it. I don't need to I can get excited if I feel like when I imagine receiving that house or getting the keys to that house, but I don't need to feel other emotions with it. So for me, intentions are not necessarily needed, or emotions aren't needed with intentions. It's about a vibrational alignment that creates.
And
If you
I
think
would add,
everything is vibrating and you want to tap into that very specific place and bring that vibrational harmony into your reality.
and so my truth, like even doing the affirmations, so when you are reading like the Louise Hay, like I love and accept myself, I move with ease and grace. To me, it's saying it, moving into a state of being of emotional like joy and gratitude for this is already here. So I would disagree in the fact that I think emotions actually super important in that, because to me, and maybe because I'm a very touchy feely person, when you get in the emotion of that, like, yes, thank you, like, and then the joy and the gratitude that I feel energetically affects those words. I can say the same words, but my tone or intention slash emotion behind it is very different. Like, yeah, I like you, like, or I
Well,
like you.
that's sarcasm. That's a completely different thing.
Well, I know, but he's asking the question. I'm just giving my point. I do feel emotions are very important. I do think that they have different vibrational send outs. In fact, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that, is that one is a send out, one is more of a magnet. And that the thoughts are the send out, the emotions are the magnet. So it's a highway system and energy, really. If we can really understand energy and frequencies, and all of this is a vibration, everything. So to me, if you're like mom said, if you're doing something in a higher vibration, then what would best serve that? How do you get into that vibration? And to me, it's like love, feel, it's like, even with the car, I sold cars for a while. And one of the biggest things is get them to get a test drive, because if they get a test drive, then they're actually feeling it. And now they feel that emotion of driving the car, that they have a way more attachment, and they're likely to buy the car goes up tremendously. I don't remember the percentages and stuff. So it's in everything. So I would say with love, with what's Omian? Omian? I don't know what the Omian is. The onion? Omian? I don't know. You have to tell
Anything
me what
else
that means.
out there that you want to share, Stace?
He said, okay, it really resonates. Thank you. Oh yeah, you get to feel the car. Yeah, and that's a big step of things. So I think even manifesting too, like, what does it feel like to walk into your home that you love? And it's like, what does it feel like to have your person hold you and love you? And what does it feel like to be listened to? What does it feel like? So to me, I do a lot with feelings and emotions. And
Well, I agree with that, but I don't call those emotions. They're different.
wait, something joy is an emotion?
No, when you said you feel what it feels like when you're sitting in the car, whatever it is. That to me is not an emotion. It's a vibrational alignment with that thing or object. I don't see those as emotions. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything they want to share? Or a position they want to take on feelings and emotions and vibrations and intentions and
I think that since I've been coming to these meetings, I have a lot more gratitude, and I appreciate everybody sharing. And I think it's helped me just going through these meditations once a week, tuning in to my own vibration, and just being able to, it's like the danger thing, that when you come in contact with somebody who's hostile, or you experience something, that I think by attending these groups every Thursday has tapped into it beyond my wildest dreams. So I just wanted to thank everybody.
Aw, thank you for
Thank you.
being in here and being a part of it. That's the best gift for me to hear.
Yeah.
And as we go into that energy and center, and when we're connecting with that light coming down from the heavens, that is your true essence. So you are getting a dose of the real you each week. So it really does activate and awaken your divine self.
Yes, without a doubt.
And one of the hardest parts to accept is that we are divine, and that even as divine beings, we can still screw up because we're also human. And when we screw up, we just have to go, what was I thinking? And then do better the next time. We don't have to beat ourselves up, or, if you're Catholic, you got to go confess. But if you're not Catholic, you just sort of go, okay, I'll do better next time, and grow from the experience.
And one thing I think what you just said too, LD, that I'd love to add on is that thank you for showing up for you, because that to me is the practice. It's showing up, it's putting intentions. I want to learn, I want to feel, right? You want to move through something. And so that is so important, is to be able to make time for that, to be able to give you space for that. And I mean, I love joining us, like, yes, thank you. But for one of the things that I used to have an issue with, that maybe some of you do, if you're online, give me a heart, that sometimes it's overwhelming. Like, I don't know all this. It's like, like I used to compare my mom's knowledge, which is for me kind of infinite, and thinking like, I can't do this, or I can't do that because of this or that, or I'm like, I'm still new, I'm still understanding these things, and know that it isn't overnight. We are literally rewiring our entire system to remember the truth of who we are, to remember the truth of why we're here, but also to look at the world through a whole new set of eyes. And my eyes are 40 something years old. So it takes us a little bit longer. Like, I just had the huge aha with schooling, that it was, and I've thought about this, but it was a 14-year-old child that said, we go to school to sit at a desk, to sit there and be quiet, to do what you're told, and you get rewarded with good grades, which is literally just priming you to go work full time in your adult life. Like, wow, you take out the play, you take out the fun, and you literally make them sit at a desk. And it's like, it took me even a few minutes to realize, like, wow, we are literally programmed from schooling. And then we think, oh, it's a lot. And so be kind to yourself, give yourself the time, give yourself that even once a week. Like, it's powerful. And if you can do that once a day and give yourself 20 to 30 minutes, it becomes, the more you invest in yourself, the more you gain in knowledge and gain in wisdom. So to me, the best thing you can do is show up for you. Get your time to sit and meditate. Get your time to get in nature, right? Breath work. There's all kinds of different things. Read a book. But again, ask for protection, guidance, and no truth. And so when you're reading the book, you start to realize, like, ooh, that doesn't really resonate, or that really does, or even doing your finger testing for different books or people. But it's a process. And I know some of my biggest gifts are when I really invested in myself. It's like, yes, that's coming back home. It's like, that's good.
Yeah. And when you start that journey, when you do stuff for yourself, actually feels uncomfortable at first because you've never experienced giving yourself that. So over time, it gets easier and easier.
Can I share what you shared a little bit about just the feeling you got from a job?
Sure.
Okay. I think because that's really powerful to me. We have been in the past where we have something that comes up, but we don't usually face it right away. We kind of, again, been programmed to be like, oh, you're overthinking it. Oh, you're just being silly. You need a job more than you need someone to do this. Or I worked a job and I was on my feet 120 hours a week, like it's nuts. I look back and thinking, what was I thinking? But at the time it's like, well, I'm making bank. So let's follow, like, like it was more about money than it was about how I felt.
Yeah.
And so it's so powerful that you knew within 2 days that this is not your job, this is not an alignment, and you left it. And that to me is like a whole high five and a master of a lesson, because we've literally been programmed to not listen to that part of ourselves. We're programmed to be in fear. So if we do quit our job, then what are we going to do? What if you don't pay your things? What if you don't pay? It's like we are programmed to be in fear, so we don't do things. And it's like, oh yeah, every time I get this feeling, you know something good's happening or something is expansive. And so it's like relearning those things of like, oh, actually, I don't have to be fearful. I know that I'm provided for. I know I am, and that again, coming back to those inner feelings, those inner guidance system that's like, oh, and then when you start to feel that little sensation, then you're like, oh, this is good. This is a good thing happening. Like,
Yeah.
I can feel it. So I'm proud of you. I think
Thank
that's
you.
cute. Mhm. You're welcome. Okay, we have a question. And it says, it's from Juan Carlos in Mexico. I am thankful that I regularly get a lot of big ideas, but what does it mean? Should I get into executing them or feel them? What are ideas really?
Well, it would go back to what are you intending? Mark Victor Hansen, who was the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, talks about how he put out there the intention of the perfect book. They would sell millions of copies, and then the perfect title of his perfect book. And so he got the idea for the Chicken Soup for the Soul, and as soon as he got it, he knew that was his book. And so he started about writing it, and then Jack Canfield said, "I want to be a partner on this. I want to be a co-author on it." And so Mark was sort of questioning of, do I need a partner? Do I want a partner? And so he gave him this test. You send me this and I'll think about it. Well, obviously they ended up being partners, but then they were looking for the perfect title. And they literally wrote hundreds of thousands of perfect titles until I think it was Mark woke up in the middle of the night knowing exactly what the title was going to be for the book. And so they were putting out what they wanted. They were getting back the ideas they wanted. And that's sort of the same thing. What are you putting out? What ideas are you just getting like flies popping around your head, buzzing for attention? Or are you wanting a specific idea to move into a business platform? You've got to sort of put up your screen door that only lets in what you want to let in. And then you got to pay attention, because maybe you get 10 ideas, but one of them is really special. It really feels special. And so are you going to not take action, or are you going to act on that idea? I can tell you, I started an organization back in the early 90s, and I was doing a presentation and mentioned it when I was doing a workshop in England. And this person in the audience said, I was given that exact same thing. And I said, yeah, and had you acted on it, I wouldn't have needed you. But they didn't act on it, so therefore it was given to someone else. And that's sort of the way it is by spirit too. You can get ideas, but if you don't do anything with them, it's just going to be going to someone else. Oftentimes there'll be 5 people come up with the same invention and file patents within a very short time of each other, because the universe is always seeding humanity with great ideas. But the reason why they have to seed it is because not everyone will take root. So you have to be the one. I record everything that I get, whether it's a book title, whether it's a clip, whether it's a focus, whether it's an idea for something else, I record it. And then after a few days, it kind of gets cold. So then I can go back and read it and go, oh man, that's a great idea. And I know that's something I want to put into my calendar to make happen, because it was a great idea and it was still great 2-3 days later. Where some of the ideas is like, man, that doesn't feel so good right now. So an idea is just a seed. You decide whether you're going to tend it, plant it, ignore it, eat it. There's a zillion different things you can do with seeds, and the same thing with ideas. What are you going to do with it? There's no right or wrong, but you've got to decide, what do you want to do with those ideas? And I'm sure all of you had the experience where you go, oh, somebody just made $1 million off that. And I had that idea. I remember sitting in the teacher's lounge in the early 70s thinking, man, someone should bottle water, because it would be just nice to have a water in here. And now look at our water industry. I could have been the empress of water had I taken action on that back in the early 70s when there was no something as bottled water. And I'm sure all of you have those missed opportunities in your past as well.
Well, and I think Juan said something about like, and just by starting it out, the universe will provide the help to manifest it. And you set the intention. Bring me the people I need to know, bring me this, or help me find the ways to do it. And literally like a book will pop out and you're like, how to do XYZ. And you're like, that's interesting because I was just thinking that. And so the universe can work with you, but you cannot interfere with free will. So you have to choose. I want to help. I want to be easy. I want to be grace. Now, because your higher self is really in charge, sometimes you have lessons to learn along with it. So it might not go exactly how you think it's supposed to be, but that's expectations, and then trusting the flow and knowing, like, you know, moving out of LA, moving to all that stuff. Like I knew it was happening before it started happening. I can feel the shift. I could feel it. It's like, oh, big stuff's happening. And so I still had to move through it. I think it's a perfect example of a friend I was talking to before. They went through divorce, you know, they have several kids. And even though they knew this was not a relationship that was serving them, even though they were miserable, they had to make that decision to say, I am ready to move into something new, even though it's going to be painful, even though it's going to be tearful, even though it's going to like all that stuff. It's still, you make decisions because it's an alignment. And I think right now we're so tapping into the alignment. Does it feel right? Do you feel like this is truth? Do you feel like, I'm a big feeling person. Sorry, the questions. And then I said, yes, because, and this is other stuff too. It's like, we're ready to shift. So it plants the seeds in us, and it's up to us to water it or to take care of it. And just like mom said before, like if you don't do the idea, we just had this conversation the other day in the car, that it can just come through to somebody else. And so you'll know, but inspired action is important and powerful.
And oftentimes the universe will not give you the help that you desire while you're sitting on the couch thinking about it. You got to be up and taking action, doing what you can do as much as you can do. And that's when you start attracting other people to support your work. But it doesn't come without action.
And I agree with the notebook thing. There's a couple times where I haven't wrote things down. So like, I'll just write it down because I was in bed or whatever when I get up, and then you forget it. And then you're like, no, it was so perfect. What was it? What was it? And it's just like, you're supposed to write it down. You didn't. You're like, okay. So it is handy to keep those around. So Jake has a question. Is what are your thoughts on thoughts and actions? Are all actions born in thought, or do you act your way into right thinking? Well, first, I would say words are everything. So there's no technically right or wrong. I would say we're living in the duality of 3D, but in actuality, in 5D, it's all lessons, it's all gifts. So to me, what is right or what is wrong is just the process. Do you want to start with that, Mom? Thoughts and actions. Are all actions born in thought, or do you act your way into right thinking?
I would say thoughts play a major influence, but beliefs are even bigger. That we have belief systems and attitudes that we aren't even aware of. They're so buried deep in our consciousness, and that those are bigger, have a bigger impact than our behavior, our habits, our actions, than the thoughts. Thoughts can be in the moment, they can be new thoughts, they can be old thoughts, but they're easier to override than beliefs. If I believe I'm not a worthy person and I don't deserve good in my life, and I'm still beating myself up from 14 lifetimes ago, then I'm not going to let prosperity flow. I'm not going to let relationships be tranquil. I'm not going to let good things happen to me, because I'm going to be pushing them away, because somewhere buried in my belief system is a belief that I'm not worthy. And so I think the first thing that you need to do is really get in touch with a lot of the buried beliefs that you have, And there are ways of activating them and getting them out, but just look at the patterns in your life,
How?
and they'll usually indicate how you what your beliefs are. Again, look at the patterns of your life. What are you doing? Do you sabotage relationships? Okay. Do you push away opportunities for prosperity? Okay. Look at the patterns. And if it's something's happened 3 times or more in your life, it becomes a pattern. Once can be a freak, 2 can be coincidental, but when you start getting 3 or more, it's a pattern. So look at the people that are no longer in your life. Look at the people that are in your life. Look at the every aspect of your life, and you'll start discovering the patterns. And then another exercise I give some of my coaching students that's very powerful, and it's just sort of a sentence starter, and it can be different things based on what we're trying to uncover, but it might be I believe or I am, and then write out the sentence I believe blah, I believe, and then just finish the sentence each time. But you have to do at least 100 of those. I believe this, I believe this, I believe this. And you can't repeat the same thing. You have to write a new ending of the sentence each time. But the first 20 are sort of the ones that are on your conscious mind. By the time you get down to 80 or 90, you're really looking at much deeper. And don't stop and think in between. It's write it out. I believe that, I believe blah, 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 or I am this, or I am this, or I find my greatest joy in, and just keep writing down. And when you get to but force yourself to get to 100. And those last 20 are going to be the most telling for some of your very beliefs about yourself or the situation or other people or whatever. And if you want specifics, you email me and I'll give you a couple story starters to begin. But you just want to keep doing it. Or another technique is called chaining. That's what I call it. So you write out a sentence, doesn't matter what the sentence is, but whatever that sentence is, you create a question based on it. And then as you write out the answer to that question, you create another question from that. So you're linking each one. So let's say, I'm a spiritual being. Why are you a spiritual being? How do you express your spiritual being? Doesn't matter the question, but you just create a question based on that sentence. And then and that'll happen in your head. And then based on that, you write out the answer. But if there's not thinking, it's just quickly letting the consciousness flow. And you'll be surprised at some of the things you uncover with that. But I think beliefs are the most powerful influence on our actions.
That was very poignant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And one thing that I enjoy, that if you have a partner too, you can ask the same question over and over. Like, what do you fear? And you do this for several minutes, and then you don't say anything. Like, there's one person asking, one person sharing. And then you can do it in different ways. So like, what do you fear? What are you fearful of? Or what do you fear? And then they can say that someone might rape me. And then you're like, thank you for sharing. And then you ask the question again. And it literally gets into a lot of the same kind of thing that mom does. If you have a partner to do it with, it gets into finding those core beliefs. And you said exactly what I was thinking, is almost most of us have been programmed to believe we are not enough. And that's mostly done through trauma. And we've also been traumatized, and we're intentionally being traumatized now. And so it's a way, in my opinion, of control manipulation. So just know that it's okay to have all this stuff coming up, because it is just a gift for you to now transmute it and to shift it. And it's not judging yourself in the process. It's not, oh my God, I am so unworthy. Oh my God, I like cancel, erase it, replace that. Like, I am worthy. And then we're not defined by our clothes or our shape. We are defined by just us being us. We're an energetic blueprint. So they're not really an energetic blueprint, but you know what I mean. We're a unique vibrational everything.
And as you've all heard me many times, recommend paper and pencil to jot down what thoughts are coming to your head, what experiences, what things are coming to you as we're talking or in life. I like the written method rather than the partner live method, because once that partner is gone, you forget what you said. You don't have the ability to go back and review it. Where if it's on paper, you can go back and review. So I'm partial to paper and pen, but do whatever floats your boat. Just
And if you do my style one, it's very important to keep eye contact. That is the most important thing, is to just be together and intimacy and opening. And it's no matter what you say, you're saying this with love and you're listening with love. And then you can reverse the roles. So it can be a fun pattern or playful, and you can get deep real fast. And that could be one thing too, is like, what's preventing you from showing up here today? There's actually a restaurant in LA that is a plant-based vegan, and that's how they start their employees. Before every single shift, the manager will sit down and ask, is there any, was preventing you from showing up here fully today? And sometimes, well, traffic, or I couldn't find parking, or I got in a fight with my roommate. And it's like these things come up that's just like, oh. And then once it's like complete, and then you're like, okay, I feel complete. Thank you. It's like just the awareness of the awareness is sometimes all it needs. And then it's like, oh, now I'm at peace. Okay, thank you. So play. So I believe we are all eternal soul beings, but our human being is defined by our thoughts and actions, our life and our will. That's Jake.
And I believe that our soul knows it all. Our soul's experienced all these things in the universe, but our soul chose to put on this costume to play this role and sort of be the observer on what's going on in our lives and to experience these things. Our soul may have needed to experience what bankruptcy feels like or what abuse feels like, both as the giver or the taker. Our soul is orchestrating events that we may not go, yeah, I don't want to do that one, but your soul's going, yeah, let's go see what it feels like to be beat up. Isn't this going to be fun? I do not believe that we are programmed. I think we are allowed to experience a variety of things for our own growth. And that once you've experienced all those experiences, then the soul sort of emerges as the guide. But the soul is already, wherever you want to go in life, wherever you will go in life, your soul's already been there. And the more we can just surrender to letting that soul take us on that gentle journey, and sometimes not so gentle journey, the easier it is to get there. And surrendering, letting go is, part of that process. When I was in my younger days, I was a bulldozer. I want to make it happen. It's like, get out of my way. I'm going to plow down the trees. I'm going to get to where I want to go. Nothing and no one can stop me or slow me down. And then as I've grown spiritually and in a few other ways, I recognized that that wasn't best. It wasn't best for my journey. It wasn't best for me. And so now it's a completely different journey that and path that I'm taking. I can get from here to California by riding a tricycle, and it'll be a very different journey than if I go from here to California riding a bike or a motorcycle or a lawnmower or a car or a jet. And so I'm still going to get to California if that's my goal, but how I get there is part of the lesson and experience as well.
And there's a question about this, but real quick, before I read it, I want to talk about you, because it's a question around the trauma. In my experience, the trauma, and I think Mom's even talked about this too, it's like the onion, and there's many layers to the onion. And so when you're ready for one layer, then the next layer is there. And again, I believe because we're here to collectively clear the consciousness in so many different ways, we have either brought it in or we chose it. I feel, are doing a little extra for the people who aren't participating in that. And everybody's different. So I'm not saying that it's across the board, but I do believe light workers signed up to take on you can ask any light worker, have you had a traumatic childhood? Have you had an abusive things? It's like, I've never met someone who hasn't. So I just want to say, I believe that part of the reason is because we came to shift it. All right. So related to this and trauma is a question.
Well, first of all, let me respond to that, because our mess is our message. So if you're here to provide comfort and support to people who have addictions, you will probably have gone through an addiction or had personal experiences with addiction. So you have that street savvy on that experience. You can't help people if you don't truly understand from where they're coming from. And so it's why you hear many of the big influencers of our day talk about sleeping on the park bench, being homeless, being broke, because that adds to their street credibility. And so light workers not only will go through experience to help collective, but they'll go through experiences to help individuals, depending on who your audience is. Now your question.
Okay. What are your recurring thoughts about something that isn't true? Question mark. I always get it and breathe, pause, and then say a new belief, but it always comes back. So my guess is you have to get deeper. It's not just a thought, it's a belief. You have to really
Well, first of all, I don't have recurring thoughts on what's not truth. If I find something that's not truth, I let it go. I don't want to pollute my mind with something that's not truth. If it pops up again, if something keeps coming up, I sort of see it like percolating, like the old coffee pots where the water boiled and the bubbles rose and it just keeps one bubble after another. I would see that as a kind of a recurring thought. And so if that's happening to me, then I'm going to sit down and reflect on it and see why is it coming up over and over again. And it can be for lots and lots of reasons. But as a general rule, if I don't like someone, I will not remember your name. If I don't like what's being said, I don't remember the conversation. I just don't let it linger in my brain, because energetically you're taking it in as much as you're eating putrid food, so I just don't. I just let it roll off my back and go wherever, neutralize in some magic space. If it comes back, if I'm getting these other thoughts, I had a friend who talked about images that would come back to them. And so I said, when they come, but she had suffered from extreme guilt over some of these things. And she had a hard time forgiving herself. So I said, when they come up, just send them love and thank them for whatever they're teaching you. And she did that for a few weeks. And then the thoughts stopped coming up because she could move beyond them. So I'd say that if you're having those recurring thoughts, that in itself is something, what's the recurring thought? Why is it coming to you? Do you have any emotion attached to it, like guilt or shame or blame or whatever? And if it's not truth, why are you hanging on to it? Why is it coming up? Right now, I'm looking at houses in different states that may become my next home. I don't know. But what I do is I create a sheet for each one that has a potential, and I attach the picture and as much description as I have about the house. And then I put it aside. I've got a folder full of them. And I find that the ones that come back to me, it's like, oh, I was thinking about that house, or I'm thinking about that house. The ones that sort of make their presence known, then those are more important to me. Those are the houses I want to investigate deeply. And those are the houses I may visit in real life, because they're more significant to me for some reason or another. So it can be reoccurring thoughts that impede you and pollute you, or they can be recurring thoughts that guide and support your next step. Now, go ahead.
No, just Esme says, I like things that get you to think and question and not just as is. And then I thought it was kind of fun. Jake said, you can't know what you want until you know what you don't want. And that's usually how we learn a lot of things.
It's if you have set in your life sort of your own parameter of what is acceptable, then what you're doing is always looking at everything in comparison to your yardstick. You've set the yardstick. Think of an example. for instance, in my house hunting, I have my minimums. It has to have this, it has to have this, I want this or something better. And so that's my yardstick. And then as I look at these homes, and I actually have created the grid that does it do this, does it do that? And I have a rating scale of 1 to 3 for each one of those criteria, so that each property will eventually have a number. And I can do some comparison, because when you're looking at homes in 5 states, there's a whole lot to compare. So you create your own way of measuring how close does this come to what I'm looking for. It may be, what is your ideal self? What does your God self look like? What does your God self do? And you create that as your yardstick. So as, for instance, in Laura's case, you know, she may say, you know, does this job support my God self, that ideal person that I choose to be, the how I want to show up every day in life? And if it supports me, yay. And if it doesn't, then that's certainly not a job that I want. Or this person, does that person take me closer to my perfect self, or does that person pull me away? And if that person makes you feel less than your divine self, then that may not be a person you want in your life. But if you haven't created your yardstick, if you haven't created your rudder, you know, on sailboats, they have rudders, and it's just a board that you put down that keeps you stable in the water. And if you don't have a rudder, the boat just flops all around when the sails are up. And so that yardstick or rudder keeps you anchored with what you desire. But if you haven't done that, if you haven't created that goal or that outcome or that image, then you have nothing to compare it to, and it's much harder to look at, much harder to find, much harder to bring into your life.
He said, interesting, thank you. And I love that truth can change, and truth, it changes as we awaken or become more conscious. We get to see at a different level. Like, it might look like, oh, like the infinity pools. It looks like, oh, the pool is actually part of the lake or ocean, right? Because that's what you're seeing from. But as you get to step up, as you come from a different view and learn, oh, actually it just drops off. It looks like it's one, but it's not, right? So truth does change as we evolve. And I think truth in itself is always truth, but what you're ready for or what you can see, I think that's powerful.
For me, it's like if you've ever been in a tent that has a hole, you can see out the little hole. And if you look like a peephole in the door, you see a little piece of reality. And then every time you get a new idea or inspiration or truth, you create the hole a little bit bigger or another hole until you're seeing more of the mosaic. In fact, there was just a thing on Facebook that was a good illustration. But you see this bikini top on this very endowed figure, and it says, this is what the media wants you to see. Then it does a back shot, and you see this bikini top with this big cleavage and endowed thing is actually some man's ass. And so they put a bikini on his bottom. And when you see the bigger picture, you realize what you're actually looking at. And that's sort of what truth is. I mean, you think, for me, what I was given 30 years ago was truth, but I saw it here. And now as I'm seeing things, it's, you know, completely different. The part isn't different. It's how I'm interpreting it and applying it and seeing it in the world is different. So we just see more and more of the truth, and we put into reality different.
Well, and that's also a very powerful point, because I worked in TV film, for many of you know, and what you see is very different. And it's so true. Like, television programming, we're being shown what they want us to see.
But it's our choice to see it, our choice to watch it, our choice to turn the TV on. It's our choice to turn it off. And so it's not their programming us. They're giving an opportunity to be influenced in a way that they don't make any minces of it. I mean, we've known since the 70s that a subliminal programming on these televisions and movies was real. It was very big news in the 70s. Well, 50 years later, if you don't understand it, then your head's been in the sand. And if you're still choosing to take it in, that's a reality you're choosing.
Well, I was not quite alive. I was born at the very end of 70s, so I wasn't here for any of that. So I don't have that in my thing. And I just think, oh, this is what I'm being shown and this is what I'm thinking. And then it's there's so many things that they're shift and change and whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that everybody comes in at different times and different reasons. And yeah, what you're ready to see or what you're not ready to see, but not everybody's. I mean, I can pretty much tell you all the people right now that are on, they're all younger than me, at least on here. So they weren't around for that either.
Can't imagine. I feel very blessed that I've lived through the time periods that I've lived through. I mean, because the changes that I've seen in my life has been astronomical. When I was getting my PhD, I was the first class that was required. Yeah. Thank you, Alicia. I was the first class that was required to put their dissertation on computer. Pardon?
She just I couldn't hear her, but she messaged. So go ahead.
Oh, I see that. Anyway, and now, I mean, computers are such a part of our life, but then it was such a novel new thing. So I'm very, very happy with the period of life that I've lived through.
Yes. And I'm excited for Matrix 4. Let's see what truth drops in there.
Okay.
That's the one thing I do appreciate is the universal law. Ask for truth and having free will. Like, I have to say, like, knowing that we have free will is like, yes. And
unless you give it away.
Yeah.
You can surrender free will, but it can't be taken from you. And many, many people, without realizing it, are surrendering free will. It's 8:10. I like to limit to 2 hours. So anybody have a last question, comment, something they want to share or say before we close it up for the evening?
Someone says, I'm also waiting to see if Green Heart. I don't know what that means. And then I'm born in 1980, but I've educated myself to the psyops and the brainwashing. And it goes on when you realize with real eyes, real lies. So wild, isn't it? Like, even the words are pretty cool. I think like you and I think like even like you and I is unity, like pretty cool. All right. As we see that if there's any last things, I'm gonna pull a card for everyone. That was too many cards. Let's do a little Isis deck because this is one of my favorite decks. This is the Oracle cards. It's not tarot, it's just Oracle. To see the new Matrix. Oh, yes. Any other last minute questions or anybody else? There's also a comment on here too that thank you for having this call because it's been a rough couple of days and joining these calls helps bring back me to center. So love you all. All right, we have the Knot of Isis. Energetic stabilization with the buckle of the beloved. So that is the Knot of Isis. Okay, that almost looks like a person. All right, Knight of Isis is page 88. Let's just bring in that abundance, shall we? That infinity of abundance. Thank you very much. I am grateful. All right, Knot of Isis, the energetic stabilization with the buckle of the beloved. Each initiate has their own unique spiritual blueprint with particular skills, talents, and higher densities unfolding that use their unique attributes. Part of your spiritual blueprint is a special relationship to the energies of the goddess. This means that not only do you have the important spiritual task of helping her thrive in this world, but you are afforded her power, protection, and abundance too. You are now deepening your connection to her. You are under the spiritual guidance and protection of the divine feminine. Part of your high destiny in this lifetime is to heal and flourish through divine feminine in her many forms, especially in those forms that are truly resonate and hold meaning for you. This healing will happen on your personal path and may, well, be a part of the work that you offer in service to the world, which may be simply in how you live your life. And that, I think, kind of sums up our conversation. I talked about the blueprint earlier. You talked about how our mess is our message. And I think that goes into kind of summing it all up. And it's pretty true. I always say we each are a different piece of the puzzle piece. And it's like we have to go inward for what our piece of the puzzle is. And it's together, unity. Do you see
There
that
we go.
much in each? Do you remember seeing the Knot of Isis very often?
I don't do the cards, so I don't know.
No, in Egypt when we're there. I don't remember seeing this. Like, it's not a symbol that you can buy in jewelry and stuff.
I've never seen it before. Josie, you said a nice thing in the comments, but I haven't heard from you this evening. You want to share something out loud just so we know that you're alive and well?
Yes,
Good.
I'm just really tired, and I've been fighting, like really napping or going to bed actually.
Well, now you can
So,
go to bed.
and then, but I've been listening.
I know. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Miss Josie. And I love Laura put such a great discussion. Thank you all for sharing and guiding and creating such a safe place.
And Laura will send you lots of love this week as you continue to look for your perfect job.
Yes.
And that's the beautiful thing. Like, it's great that just like, okay, next, like, call in, get specific. So I think it's a good thing. Sometimes we think, oh, I can do anything. It's like, can you? And it's like, oh no, I got to stay in alignment. I want a job that pulls me into alignment. I want a job. Yeah. So it's playing. And yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
And
our
I've-
hearts will be with you. And we'll look forward to the update next week.
Yeah.
Oh, Esme, you should reach out to me. But she just said she's lately super tired and she's in pain and she actually might have shingles, so pray for her. So definitely send you lots of love. Shingles, again, I'm guessing you had chickenpox as a child, but it's, from my understanding and my research, it's that little suppressed thing. So stress can pull it, but it's in the bottom of the spine, and they keep it there. But if chickenpox, if you had chickenpox as a child, it's just part of that thing. And I think it can also be part of your clearing out of the Kundalini, because that is the base of the spine, and there's a lot of energy. So if you're carrying something that's not supposed to be there, then I think that's also could be one of the things that's coming up, just to be able to release it.
And according to Louise Hay's Heal Your Body, you can see the cover, Heal Your Body, it says shingles are waiting for the other shoe to drop. Fear and tension. You're too sensitive. The affirmation you say to neutralize that energy is, I am relaxed and peaceful because I trust the process of life. All is well in my world. And I'm going to say that again because I think it's a nice one for everybody. I am relaxed, peaceful because I trust the process of life. All is well in my world. So I wish you all great love, and we'll keep you in our prayers too. And for those people who were on our little line, we've had lots of people on our Facebook Messenger group who would write down, send me love because I'm doing this, or I need this, or special thoughts. And so feel free to always put that in there too. And I find the group is very responsive to those kinds of calls, sort of prayer circles.
Yeah. And it's just, I love also being here with y'all together. It's powerful. So thank you very much. Remember to breathe. You got this. We got this. We will be here next week if you'd like to tune in.
And as our friend Becky would say, hold the line.
And Jakarta is India?
Jakarta is Indonesia.
Oh, that's right. I forget because Indara, I forget where she's from, and Jakarta, which is where. But I haven't been to Indonesia yet, so
It's an island country, and it's near Bali.
Yes, drink lots of water, Jake. That's a really good one. I find when I'm on here, I'm like I had to go refill it earlier because I'm sucking in water. Right there.
All right.
And
Well,
someone just asked for the code for Zoom. Our
Oh.
Miss.
well, we're leaving now, so it won't do you much good now, but next time.
You can jump on. I'll say hello. I'll be on.
All right.
But
Well,
Zoom is right. 488-733-2118 if you want to join. And thank you for being on this planet. Thank you for choosing to see. Thank you for choosing truth. Thank you for speaking your truth. Thank you for living your truth. Thank you for being you. This is how we move through this is together.
Love and light to you all.
Famous one is Bali. Thank you for all your wisdom and love. I love you all.
Bye.
And I'll remember Jakar when I go because I want to go. All right. Love and light, y'all. All right. I hope you have a great one. If you ever want to get a hold of me, I'm stacyharder.com. And I will be also putting up a monthly program that I'm going to be putting up, a special if you want to work with me. So you get 4 privates, 1 private a week with me, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to stop the live stream and bless.